Hello and welcome to my channel. Today I'm going to show you how to paint something simple with red, black and white paint. Yesterday I painted my canvas black and I left it overnight to dry. For this painting I'm using a deep red. The paintbrush is a smaller version of one I used in a previous video with a pirate ship. I bought it from B&Q, which is a hardware store in Britain. By dabbing the brush, as you can see in the video, it creates these kind of splashing water effects. At the top here, I'm simply just smearing the brush. I'm not dabbing anymore. Here I have added a tiny bit of white to the deep red to make it slightly pinker. This effect is similar to dry brush painting. I'm being very careful not to put too much of the brush down. I'm simply just using the tip. So now that the deep red has dried, I've gone for the pinkish red, and again I'm smearing it at the top. As you'll see, I'm gradually adding more and more white to the mix to create a lighter colour at the top. You can probably guess by now what I'm painting. Here I've gone back to using that dabbing technique I used at the start. I want to give you the impression that there is glare or there is moisture in the air. Here I'm bringing the light down the sides of the structure to make it more realistic. Now that the red has dried, it's gone quite dark, so I'm just adding some more on top to brighten it, but I've added a tiny bit of white to the mix to blend it in with the lighter pink that I've brought down the sides of the structure. There is a bit of glare from the light that I've used on the paint while the paint is wet. I do apologise for that. Next time I think I'll use some different lights. By continuously adding white to my paint, I can create more realistic effects on the base. You can probably hear my dogs in the background crying. I want to show you how easy it is to paint something and how simple the techniques are, and that you don't actually need lots and lots of different colours. I'm only using red, white and black in this picture. I'm very carefully sort of stroking the painting, just with the very tip of my brush. I've added white, quite a lot of white to this mix. The upward strokes and downward strokes that you can see that I'm doing, they add this kind of crystal effect. You probably know by now that this is water. Again, as the paint dries, I'm adding lighter and lighter tones. Here I've chosen a flat brush. Doesn't really matter what size you use for this part. It's just easier to use a flat one for the shapes that I'm going to create. This is Mars Black that I'm using here. Just dabbing it on to create these square shapes. The black paint will eventually dry and blend in more with the black background. Sometimes it still stands out a tiny bit, which is quite good because you can create depth. So with the flat brush you can create some quite nice lines. See there that I've pulled the brush down on the edge to create two straight lines vertically. The lighter tones at the top here are still relatively wet, which does help a little bit, because as I put the black on, it sort of greys slightly or goes slightly pink. I don't wash out my brushes. I like to leave a little bit of the colour in the black, especially when I move down the structure to create sort of windows, because then you end up with the pink and black together creating a kind of reflection. The trick at the top is to not just block paint a big black triangle and to draw perfect crisscross lines over what is essentially the glass, because the light at the top of the lighthouse is so bright that you wouldn't see all that black. It would be broken up. Again, I apologise for the light choice. The shadow is in the way. I don't want these windows to be perfect because I am using black. A lot of it will blend in with the background, but the pink that I've left in the brush, the tiny bit of pink, will show up at the end when the paint is dry, and it's that really that will define the shape of the windows. At the end here I decided to put a little handrail in and just define some of the lines, just to make it look a tiny bit more realistic. So this is the end product. Of course, you have to sign your paintings. I hope you enjoyed this one. I'll be back next week about the same time. Thank you for watching. I would really appreciate it if you would subscribe and give me a little thumbs up if you enjoyed the video. Subscribing and liking really does help to grow the channel. Thank you.